So, my guest will share practical wisdom on deeper connection with God and your husband. And she's a speaker on communication and overcoming obstacles. Welcome, Nina. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm great now. Good to be with you, sister.
I'm so glad you're here. It's refreshing to see this amazing book that you wrote, The Respect Dare. Now, the respect 40 days to a deeper connection with God and your husband. Can that be possible?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have a client that let me know last week that it's been a month. She's 180 degrees different with her relationship with her husband. It's just night and day difference.
And why do you think that's true?
So she's willing to humble herself in the sight of the Lord and he lifts her up. Like that, that verse is actually true. And then on top of that, and who likes to be humbled? Like nobody, right? And then once you mature into a different space, it's like, oh, I want that, right? And
Yeah.
that's where she's at. But she didn't know this stuff, and I didn't either. And yeah, so you start following God, and you understand what some of those things are, and then you show up differently, and it really does impact your relationships. So that's a
Yeah.
huge thing.
Yeah. I love that you say like a deeper connection, with God and your
Mhm.
husband. How do we get that? I mean, I know there's a lot of ladies out there. Hey, maybe they're watching it. Hey, maybe they have a really, pretty good marriage, but there's a lot of them that are like still questioning, why is my husband treating me this way?
Mhm.
What's going on in my marriage? How do you help them?
Yeah, so I think fundamentally we need to, and this isn't popular to say, but I gave up on being popular long ago. Men and women are different. And it's not just in the visibly biological differences that we can obviously see. Men bond through a hormone called vasopressin. They have a lot more of it than we do, just like they have 8 to 10 times more testosterone than we do. And so we bond through oxytocin. So when we're looking at our husband and treating him like we would treat a girlfriend and having the expectations that that's going to be a thing, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. So
Mm-hmm.
instead, we need to go with what is creation and how
Mm-hmm.
God designed men and women differently. And then we can start creating things that are more connecting in our relationship. And then we can ask for what we want because hello, we're the relational ones. Like women don't complain about, oh, why do I have to be the one to have the baby? Like nobody says that. Nobody.
Yeah.
But yeah, think about it like from conception, we're doing the relationship stuff with the baby, and so it makes sense. And then naturally, we talk about relationships more than men do. They're more important to us than they are to men. It matters that we embrace this difference and then walk in that superpower because it is a gift from God, and we most of us are just annoyed by it. Like, let's change that thinking. That mindset's in the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really have to ask you this question. Men might be, say, like very entwined in, like, say, I don't know, video games, watching sports, not paying attention to the wife.
Mhm.
What can women do about that besides praying for them? I
Mhm.
mean, have you seen situations where you could probably turn that around?
Oh, we have. Absolutely. I mean, we've had people that are addicted to gaming that have come
Mm,
out of that space and become full partners in their relationship. And there's a number of factors that go into that. And I can outline them if you want.
yes, that would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So respect, and the book is mostly how do you respect your husband? But there's an element of respect that makes your respect for somebody else mean absolutely nothing. If you don't respect yourself, like if you don't
Mhm.
have boundaries, if you're not taking care of yourself, if there's no consequence for being lousy to you, and if you're hanging out while somebody's yelling at you, or if you're just continuing to bring them things and give and serve and all that, and I'm not putting down serving, but I'm saying if you're rewarding evil or bad behavior or disconnection, you're just going to get more of that. So that's a piece of it. And the boundaries is a huge thing. And so, but what's cool about men is that they're very simple creatures. And most men will say that. Like, I'm not dissing men right now. They'll say that they are simple and they really want to please their wives. They just don't know what to do. And we can wish that they did or whatever, but it doesn't change that. So when we have a conversation with them and it's like, hey, I know you want to, have kids or be a better father or whatever. And I know you want to be engaged with me relationally. This hobby of yours of, basketball 4 hours a night, 4 nights a week, when the kids are, I'm not sure that that's working for our family. And I'm wondering,
Yeah.
can we talk about this so that we can create something so that our children don't learn that dad gets to work all day and then play all night and mom carries the weight of everything because
Okay,
that's what
so
they're learning.
so let me stop you there. So what if a husband like is like, gets mad at the wife and the wife
Mhm.
doesn't know what to do? Because there's a lot of there's a lot of women that are like, I don't want to ask him. I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
I'm kind of afraid we'll have a fight or I'll
yeah,
just do what he says. What do you do about that?
yeah. So that's biology also. The Big Five personality index, cross-culturally, worldwide, says women are more agreeable than men. So it's our nature to like kowtow to that kind of stuff. And okay, ladies, here's where we quote man up. We
Yeah.
need to level up and become women of strength and dignity and stop being afraid of his anger because his anger is his immaturity and we're keeping him a child by allowing that to dictate our behavior. We
Yeah.
Acts 5:29 says we obey God and not man. We are the architects of relationship in our home. And for us to be like, oh, I can't bring it up because he's gonna da 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 and he'll get mad. It's like, yeah, that's probably true until he doesn't. And you got to hold that line. You got to, it's one of the boundaries that we have in the courses that we do. We have a strength and dignity course, and it's primary in all of our coaching. The first boundary we teach people have had zero tolerance for emotional conversation. Don't talk to people when you're upset. Okay, that's boundary number one. Boundary number two is don't talk to people when they're upset. Like and you don't just, oh, I can talk to you. No, it's, hey, I love you. Let's take a break from this when we can both be calm. Like that's what you
Mhm.
say in either case. You take 20 minutes off, you go work this thing we have, called the steps where you connect with God over some stuff, and then you come back and it's like, okay, so let's talk about this now. And you engage in that. When somebody's angry, and this is the thing, it can take 2 or 300 leaving conversations after 3 sentences of him being, angry or whatever. It's like, hey, I love you. Let's talk about this when we can both be calm. And you leave the room.
Mhm.
You do that enough, you end up with a dude that says, "Oh, I can't talk to you because I'm upset. We'll talk about this later." And you're like, "Yes, that's exactly what I want. I want a grown up in a conversation." And I'm
Mhm.
not, all of us are going to be immature where we can. That's just human nature.
Yeah.
So, yes, create an environment where he has to level up in that to interact with you over something. And then
Mhm.
you can do the same thing. And he's going to call you up too, by the way. It's not that women are so perfect at everything, but we do have a superpower when it comes to relationships. And we just
Mhm.
don't know how to tap into it properly. And we haven't been taught that. And the
And
culture teaches stuff that's in the way.
yeah, what's one of the biggest questions that women come to you with?
Yeah. Why is he like this? Why won't he? Why this? Why that? And what do I do when? And they've got all these really horrible negative things about him and, and da da da. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like you put a cat and a dog together in a marriage and no, either
Yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta learn to speak the language. Like if you go to a foreign country, if you're in France, learn to speak French. You'll get along much more effectively. Or you can
Mhm.
expect all of the French people you interact with to know English, and some of them might, right? But not at the
Mhm.
level you do. So you're gonna have lots of miscommunication. But
Mhm.
when you're multilingual, as women are, we read nonverbals more effectively than men do. We see behavior happening and can predict where it's going. I mean, that's why our children are still alive. Like, no joke. Men have such a higher tolerance for risk than women do. Like these, and that's good too, because
Yeah,
otherwise their kids would be afraid of everything living in bubbles, right? So that's
yeah,
good that we're paired together. But you have to accept the fact that there's this constant tension and it's supposed to be like that, you know?
yeah,
It, yeah, you got to be open to the person, but he's not your God. So you don't follow him everywhere because he doesn't know any better than you do on some of this stuff.
yeah.
No, we're so good at idolatry. Like Adam and Eve right out of the gate wanted something other than the Lord. Well, I don't know what Adam wanted. I just know he didn't say, "Hey, baby," that God said, you know.
Yeah.
But we want things, and then we think we're going to be, and it's all idolatry, and we want marriage to be perfect and look a certain way, and we're like, oh, I need to have the perfect whatever it is, my the Pinterest marriage, I call it. And we watch too much Hallmark movies, and we that's basically relational porn, and we think it should be like that, and it's not. Real life is messy. It's full of conflict. Doesn't have to be scary though, and that's the thing that people don't get, is that conflict is actually a good thing, because then you end up with God's best in that situation.
Mhm.
But navigating through these things is really what our focus needs to be. And it's a context through which we develop a deeper relationship with the Lord. God
Mhm.
knows what we need to do in this moment with that guy.
Mhm.
So are we
Exactly.
going to listen to him, or are we going to listen to the influences of the culture and our own selfish desires? Or
Hmm.
worse yet, the enemy? Like, eh, yeah. So it's really all about, why not make God your husband? And that's biblical, by the way. And then follow him through the challenges in your marriage. And that gives you the superpower of navigating anything, really, because you're doing it in his strength and you're doing the right stuff in the first place.
Absolutely, because the Holy Spirit is working through you in
Mhm.
order to give you the information that you need to navigate your
Yes,
marriage, right?
yes, yes.
So you have 40 dares in here. What's the biggest dare that everybody like kind of comes back to you with
Yeah,
in your
a lot of people
book?
talk about the childhood incident thing, and it's pretty early in the book. It's surprising to me that people don't know that what was modeled for them growing up is what they're probably going to repeat. And most people don't know that they married the characteristics of the parent that they had the most trouble with in their spouse. There's
Mhm.
unfinished business there that the Lord is going to grow them out of. And this is why second and third divorces happen at an even faster, higher rate than first marriages that fail. Because everywhere we go, there we are. And until we deal with us and our issues and our particular relational baggage and let the Lord heal that, we're just carrying that right into every situation we got that's challenging.
Mhm.
And you don't have to do that. Like, you can be healed. God sent his son to set captives free. He's still in that business.
Mhm. So Nina, let me ask you a question. Was your marriage always perfect?
Half of those stories are mine. My marriage isn't perfect now. That's not real. I yeah. So, but I will tell you that God has done something incredibly healing in my relationship. Um, I I was at a Bible study 30 some years ago, and we had to rate our marriages. I don't know whose idea this was. It was really stupid though. And then we go around the room, and you had to give a number 1 to 10, 10 being amazing and one being, yeah, no, terrible. And I'm like, I don't want to play. And everybody's going around the room, and these are all way more mature Christians than I am. I became a Christian 34 years ago, the night before our marriage. Like,
The
I got
night before your
baptized.
marriage.
Yeah, yeah.
The night before your marriage.
Yeah, the night before we got married, yes, I gave my heart to Christ, and yeah, so that I got baptized. Anyway, so I was new at this, and I didn't really get it. And it gets to me, and I said, I don't want to answer. And they pressed me, and I said, okay, fine, it's a 2. And you want to blow up a small group, say something like that. It just, everybody looks at me and they're like, and the leader didn't, I mean, they're all our age, we're in our 20s, nobody knew what to do. My husband looks at me and he goes, well, I thought we were like an 8 or a 9. And I said,
Yeah.
and that right there is the problem.
I got it. I gotta say that I've been there too. So
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. But what's cool is shortly after that, the Lord drug me kicking and screaming through a study on respect and being a biblical wife. I had no idea what that meant, and probably didn't for about a good 10 years. And I was trying all sorts of things, reading all the books, going to the workshops. We went to all the family life conferences, did all the things. And I was still miserable. And finally, the Lord was like, this is about your identity, girl. Like, you're wrapping your identity up in somebody else's behavior.
Hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, why is that? And he's like, because you're not looking to me. for the answer. You're looking to you, you're looking to him, and you're judging yourself. You're allowing judgment to ensue here. You're taking everything personally. And he says, you can keep doing that if you want to, but look how it's working. It ain't.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's all just kind of loosely translated in terms of my experience there, but that was the impression I got. And so I started learning about boundaries and I started learning about putting God ahead of every person in my life. I say I'm a reformed people pleaser. And it's hilarious because now I offend a lot of people just by being me and telling my story. Like it's just cracking me up. And then I watched him move us into a space of friendship.
Mhm.
We have conflict, but I will say this. A couple weeks ago, we sat down. We just bought a farm last year, and it's wild. It's so much fun. And it's a lot of stress as well because it's all new, but we've translated that into fun. But we sat down for 3 hours and talked about money. We have never been able to have a conversation about money that didn't blow up in a conflict until about 4 weeks ago. And that is evidentiary of the work that God's done in our marriage. Like we hang out together and have a good time. He serves me, I serve him. We're friends. We've learned some of the basic skills. I ask for what I need. I don't expect him. Like my husband's a genius. He's a really, really intelligent man. He's an executive with Procter and Gamble, and he's really good at what he does. And he's a typical man, and he would not be insulted for me to say that. He'd be like, yeah, I'm simple. What do you need? What do you want? And every conversation with men generally, women come into that with complaint, and I did this too. Well, this is going wrong, and the men think, okay, I got to fix this, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so a simple thing to do is say, hey, I don't want you to fix this. I just want to rant for about 4 minutes about how awful this day went and how terrible these people are. I want you to agree with me that they're all bad. And I swear I'll get my mind back in a minute, but I'm going to go crazy here for a second. Can you just listen? And inevitably, anytime I ask that of any of the men in my life, they're like, okay, so you just want me to listen. Like they need to clarify and make sure. And I say, yes, can you do that? And they're like, yeah, all in. And then it's great. And then I have two sons and my husband, they'll say things like, so, wow, you had a really bad day. Like this just like, terrible. Like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. Like, but maybe we should just go blow up their house or something. And they're like, yeah, do it. Yeah. And nobody means any of that. Right.
Of
But
course.
we're siding with each other, and
Yeah.
we're on each other's team in ways that we never have been in the past. And it's just really, really cool to be able to do that. And I don't take his anger personally anymore. Like he used to, have strong feelings about things, and I'd think I needed to do something too, and I'd take it personally, and I'd be, afraid of his anger or whatever. I'm not anymore. I'm like, his anger is his anger, and that's about some situation that he's dealing with. Like, that doesn't affect me at all. I just need to be his friend right now. That's it. So
Yeah.
it's a whole different ball game, and there's freedom here for
That
sure.
that's so great. So, hearing all this, I'm kind of thinking about the women that have been married a really long time
Hmm.
and their marriages, there's just zero communication at
Yep.
all.
Yep.
What can they do? Do you have any kind of tips for them? Because I know
Yes.
there's somebody out there that's suffering right now, needs help, and not like, oh, again, I've had many guests on here, oh, do this, that. But you know what? Tell them plainly what can they do?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna I'm not betraying my gender. I'm trying to help here. All right. So, but know that what you're doing right now is not working, so stop it. Okay. That's the first thing is be aware that the attempts that usually we're leading with complaint. You never spend time with me. Like, who wants to spend time with that anyway? Like, stop complaining, do something different. And one of the big things to do differently, honestly, is are you taking care of yourself? Are you throwing yourself under a bus for your family, your kids, whatever? And I'm not saying don't serve. I'm saying you need to have a hobby that's yours. You need to have friends that are yours. You need more friends than he does. Go have them, go do things. Well, he won't like it. Yeah, that's probably true. He'll get over it. He needs to grow up in that space then. That's fine. That's a symptom of immaturity if he's going to not support you. That's fine. So then on top of that, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it's true. He doesn't have a problem So if you want to help a man move towards you, you got to give him a problem to solve. And that can look a whole lot of different ways for a lot of different people in all their different marriages. But if you're siloed in a relationship, that's working for him. Yeah, he's probably lonely, but it doesn't bother him enough to actually do something about it. And are you using your feminine energy, the ways of a woman that are unique and special? And it's not lipstick and a wig and a short skirt, ladies. That's not feminine. What's feminine is the softness, the gentleness, the kindness, the teaching of kindness being on our tongues as we interact, as we invite, right? And then what happens is most of these women don't have these lives, right? And they're not leaving and going and doing and having fun with their life. That's attractive to a man. What's not attractive is whining and complaining and making him the center of your universe. He can't handle that. And it's just pressure. And so he's going to be even more siloed. So that energy we push towards him, he's going to retreat. He's like a horse. He's going to back off. And so then you have to look at, well, what is it that we actually want from the relationship? And can you start creating that? And there's tons of communication tools to employ in that. But if you don't have the basics down, like if you don't have emotional control, if you don't have friends, if you're not getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night and having some interests of your own and having a life that you're loving, like start there. And then you can move into this. And sometimes it's inviting him to things. And sometimes it's like, hey, I've been looking at this, the way we're doing relationship, and it just doesn't work for me anymore. So I'm wondering, I've signed us up for a dance class. It's Thursday evenings. And so we're going to have to leave here at 5 o'clock. And you might get to that space and he'd be like, "Oh, I hate dancing." Yeah, I do too. But let's just go hate it together. And then you go do something new together.
Mhm.
It's rare that a guy that's that burned out and siloed after you've been married that many years will initiate. And that's a masculine energy called aggression that causes them to take action on things. Usually, I hate to say this, but women will, when we morph into their moms, we do a good job of killing it. And if that's happened, he's not going to step into that space. But when he does, say yes, even if it's the dumbest thing ever. If he wants to take you, to the shooting range and you hate guns, just go because he instigated something. Like reward that. And I mean reward that. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Like put all you got into that because you'll get more of it. Whatever you pay attention to grows. So that's my 2 cents.
That's so much wisdom, more than I even could hope for or ask for. And I know that you're totally wrapping what you're saying around someone's heart right now,
Yeah.
who may be like really needing to hear those wisdom words. So, we could go on, but this book, you'll have to get this book. I'm just telling everybody out there, you got to get this book. You can see I marked off pages. So it's the book is The Respect Dare, 40 Days to a Deeper Connection with God and Your Husband. And you can find Nina's book, this book, on Amazon or wherever books are sold. And for more information about Nina and all the resources you can get, go to her website, greaterimpact.org. And I'm so happy to have you today. And what would you like to leave my audience with today?
Where there is breath, there is hope. You don't have to stay stuck. And so if the respect dare doesn't end up moving things for you, reach out to us at Greater Impact. We have free resources for you. God wants to heal your marriage. He cares a lot about his glory and he wants you to shine it through your life and your marriage.
Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts on our conversation by putting your comments below and visit the call with NancySabato.com to learn more about me and what we do here on the ministry. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Your support means so much to us.